Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel Armor Gaming. Once again, Team Shop has been updated, so it's time for me to give you my thoughts on who I think you should get. So let's go ahead and get right into this. Click on Team Shop, and here we go. I'm just going to go ahead and scroll through and show you guys all the new monsters, and really there's not that many new monsters. It's just been like some monsters were reduced and the new general has been added. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about each single monster individually, and at the end of the video I'll let you know who I would get, and I hope that helps you come to a decision for yourself. So starting things off, the new General Nishant, 2.2k coins is what he costs, and this monster is absolutely great. A lot of people actually don't like him because of his low life, but I'm just going to go ahead and tell you that doesn't really matter because he is a pure attacker. And like I've mentioned in previous videos, the way you construct a team is you have a monster that can deny with full speed runes, and this is someone with AoE stun or AoE freeze, or just something that stops your opponent's monsters from attacking. And then your team has an attacker, and this attacker you put 3 strength runes or 2 strength runes and 1 speed rune, and he's just there to deal damage, possibly one hit your enemy monsters. And then you have an extra monster who can either be another support monster, a control monster, and something like that. But again, he's an attacker, so it honestly doesn't matter if his HP was 1. The point is you're trying to deny your opponent's monsters from attacking you. So his life can be as high or as low, and it doesn't really matter. His point is just to have a high power and to deal damage. And what's even great about this general is he has a really high speed also. And I'm actually going to do an analysis on him on Sunday, but just so you know, another amazing thing about this monster is his power just actually broke the highest power for dark monsters. His power is 3,542, and before him the highest power for dark monsters was 3,509, and that belonged to Collectus and a select few other monsters. So for this monster to be introduced and just have a power that's like over 30 points, that's insane. And you might be thinking like 30 points isn't a lot, but when you really think about it, when you add strength runes that give you like a level 10 gives you 100% extra damage, 102 I believe, like that really widens the gap in terms of power. Aside from that, General Nishant also has amazing skills. He's definitely worth getting. Now the question that arises is he worth getting for 2.2 coins? And I say that because as we scroll through the list, you see every general that in the past has cost 2.2k coins, they now cost as little as 800. And that's ultimately your choice to decide. I can't tell you whether you should spend 2.2. Like, is he a good monster? Yes. Is he worth it? Yes. But because we know in the future the Team Shop they recycle monsters and they'll end up costing less, all these generals, like I imagine Holter will probably be here next time the Team Shop is refreshed, or the month after, and he'll probably cost 1.5 or 1.05 like Dartmouth. Because of that, it's ultimately your choice. I can't really answer that. I can just tell you he's an amazing monster and he's worth having. But as you know, there's like over 20 dark monsters, and although I'm not going to say they're better than General Nishant, I am going to say Nishant is a pure attacker. And in terms of whether you want support monsters or attackers, support monsters usually win over. For example, Krampus, who like boasts the highest speed in the game, ignoring like Panda Claus and Cupid and I think the Ghost, who actually have the highest speed. Like they're kind of irrelevant because they can't do much, they just have like high power skills. But you know, Krampus, he has the highest speed, who has AoE free, so he's arguably like one of the better monsters in the game. He's probably the best dark monster in the game because of that. But again, you look over to like the attacker side, Barbatos, who can take everyone out in one hit. It's hard to argue who's better or who's the best. But like I said, in terms of attackers, General Nishant is one of the best. I guess a lot of people are saying he's like a underling of Barbatos, so I don't know, like it's hard to say because Barbatos, I think he's unmatched because of his extra churn skill that no monster has, so he can give himself a 2x boost and attack right away, while this guy, he can give himself a 2x boost and ignore damage, but I imagine he'll still be able to be frozen or stunned, so it's hard to say. Then again, he does have tough, so it's really hard to say, but again, he's definitely worth having. As far as 2.2 coins, that's debatable, and that's ultimately up to you. And now we're going to move over to General Uria. Now, there's a lot of hate for General Uria, and I honestly don't know why that is. So in terms of Thunder monsters alone, it's probably because he's always compared to Voltic, and when you compare someone to Voltic, you're always going to lose out. So General Uria, when you look at his stats, they're pretty darn amazing. He has a really good power, a really good speed, and a really good life. And what's even better about General Uria is his skills. They deal a good amount of damage, and they're really low cooldown. I believe his 60 and 65 damage skills have a 1 turn cooldown, and his AoE that does 40 damage has only 2 cooldowns. That's crazy because we see AoEs with like that have that 30 damage or 35, and they have like a 3 or 4 turn cooldown. If you just look at thunder monsters and you look at stats and skills, he's one of the better thunder monsters to have. If you need someone, if you don't have Voltic and you need someone for wars, I would recommend him. Now of course Griffin recently became available in the maze and he's pretty easy to get, but again, if you only have Griffin and you need an extra thunder monster, Uria is definitely a good choice. When he first came out, I was also kind of not a fan of him, but again, looking at his stats and his skills, he's, in terms of just thunder monsters, he's really good. And we move over to the third monster, Lagerkhan. Now, I honestly have no idea why this monster is here, and I especially don't know why he costs 1.1k coins. That's a pretty high price for this monster. Now, if you guys remember recently, or unless you guys are new, he actually recently became available in the monster dungeon. And normally in monster dungeons, they only give us epics and rare monsters, so for legendary to be there, you kind of got to know he's not that good. And what's really not good about him are his stats. They're pretty poor. His skills are all 0 cooldown, which is actually great, except for 1 cooldown skill that stuns. So in terms of skills, it's good they have low cooldown, but they deal low damage. They're like 50 or 55 being the highest. One plus is that they all do give effects like daze, blind, and stun like I mentioned. But again, he's not a really good monster to have. I think lots of people actually deem him as one of the worst monsters in the game. But I guess if you don't have a nature monster, you would want him. But if you have anyone, even like the breedable nature legendary, you'd probably want him over Lagerkhan just because you can heal. So I'm honestly confused why they decided to put him in Team Shop and at that price. It doesn't make any sense to me. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you this is the last monster you want to get. I'd even get the 2 epics that are available before I get this monster. Moving on to General Darmith. General Darmith is by far one of the best fire monsters in the game. He's probably in the top 3, and there's always a debate if it's Darmith, Greedy Dragon, or Mega Ostium for the top spot for fire monsters. And honestly, I say it's a hard choice to pick one. That's a debate that's probably going to go on forever because each monster is unique. Now, Darmith, because he's in the top 3, you definitely want to buy him. This is definitely a good price. The cool point about Darmith is his Dragon Berserker skill, which is unique to him. It basically ignores 50% of damage, and he gets a 2x boost. So again, if you use that on the first turn, even with base life, because he's ignoring 50% of damage, it's almost like he has 40k life for the first 2 turns. So that's awesome. I have an analysis on him. You can always check that out if you want more information. But again, at that price, I would definitely buy him if you're in need of a fire monster. And we move on to General Atum. Now this guy is possibly one of the best earth monsters in the game and one of the best generals overall. He's absolutely amazing. I love this monster. I've actually taken out 3 enemy monsters just using General Atum alone because of his skill, Hard as a Rock, which basically gives him double life and he reflects 100% of the damage. So he's just absolutely amazing. I definitely think he's a must-have monster, and there are a lot of good earth monsters in the game. There's a good amount of earth monsters too. So for General Atum to be one of the best, just take my word for it, you definitely want him, because aside from his special skill, Hard as a Rock, he also has an AoE stun, which is like unique in the earth monsters category, so you can use him as a denier. But he also has a team full life shield, so other monsters get a shield equal to that of their life, which is amazing. So not only can he deny, but he can also support, and he also has a 0 cooldown 60 damage skill, so that means he can also be an attacker. This guy's like the ultimate hybrid, so definitely get him. He's perfect for wars, he's perfect for PvP. And now we move on to General Ingvar. Ingvar has a lot of mixed reviews from people, and I'm actually not sure why, because honestly in terms of support, he's one of the best support monsters in the game. So to start things off, his skill Discouragement makes the enemy weak to special attacks, which almost all legendaries have. That's really unique, no one else has that. And then we move on to Encouragement. Encouragement gives him team life, gives his team life regeneration, stamina regeneration, and it removes all negative effects. Those 2 skills alone are insane. And going back to Discouragement, just to give you an example of how amazing it is, if you start off with Ingvar and use Discouragement, and then your attacker is Barbatos, and you use Hellfire, that's already going to be super effective because Hellfire is like special element. But even if you use your 2x boost and then use Hellfire, like for sure you're gonna one hit all 3 monsters at once. But going back to other skills where he shines at, he also has Dazing Wings and Blinding Wings, and both of those moves are AoEs. So Blinding Wings, it basically blinds all enemy monsters, and Dazing Wings dazes them. So together those moves give your enemy a 75% reduced accuracy, so the enemies are gonna have a really hard time trying to hit you. Again, I definitely believe he's one of the best support monsters in the game. And again, you gotta consider their category. Light monsters tend to be supportive, and when I say supportive, I don't mean supportive in terms of denying. Like the water monsters, they're all about denying. They're all about freeze, and they have some stun skills. Nature monsters are all about healing. Fire monsters are all about attacking. So light monsters are all about being supportive in terms of recovering stamina, recovering life, removing negative effects, removing positive effects from your opponents. That's what they do. So in terms of that, Ingvar is definitely one of the best. For 800 coins, I think that's a steal. I think you absolutely must buy him at 800 coins. And moving on to the last legendary monster, General Thetis. She is probably the best general in terms of a team. And I say in terms of a team because that's the way Monster Legends is played. If it was 1v1s, I don't think General Thetis would stand a chance against other monsters. I think probably a Tomb could take on any other legendary. But in terms of a team, the reason General Thetis shines is because of her Stamina Devour skill, which removes all the stamina from the whole enemy team. And that's pretty simple, you know, no one is immune to stamina drain. Lots of monsters are immune to freezing, lots of monsters are immune to stun, lots of monsters have tough, hardened, which although they're not 100% immune, they have a chance to be immune, but no one has an immunity to stamina drain. So for that reason, she's definitely good. Now, the one thing a lot of people bring up with General Thetis, and they actually bring this up with Timerion too, is that when you use her skill Stamina Devours, or when you use cooldowns deactivated with Timerion, it feels like the enemy gets their special a lot more often than when you don't use them. Now, I personally have to say, I don't know whether that's true or not, and while it may seem that it is true, I think until we get like definite proof, until someone does like 100 battles with General Thetis and uses her Stamina Devour skills and counts how many times the enemy gets their special, and then just plays regularly 100 battles and counts how many times the enemy gets their special, until we see there's an actual discrepancy, I won't exactly believe that it's true that using that skill makes the enemy more likely to get their skill. So if anyone wants to test it out, record videos or whatever, go ahead and do that. But until now, I'm just going to say she's definitely one of the best monsters, probably the best general. It's hard to say, again, because when you compare a supporter to an attacker, like, how do you really compare General Thetis to General Uria, you know? Uria's an attacker, Thetis is a supporter. But again, Monster Legends is done in terms of teams. So in terms of teams, supporters generally win out over attackers, so that's why Thetis is really good. And for 800 coins, just like when Timerion was 800 coins, you must absolutely buy her for 800 coins. And moving on to the last two monsters, both of which are epic. We start off with Donna Turtle, who has poor stats for an epic monster, but absolutely amazing skills, specifically really great supportive skills. And moving on to the last monster, Estero, who is a great epic for Team Wars. He has amazing AoE skills, he has a blinding skill, he can heal, give damage boost. He's absolutely amazing. He's also used to breed Arcanite, so you definitely want to pick him up. So that concludes my mini analysis on each monster, and I know a lot of people are going to ask, who would I get? The first monster I would get is General Thetis, because I really think she's mandatory. So General Thetis is one. The second monster I would get is General Tomb, and the third monster I would get is General Ingvar. After that, I would get Darmith, and after Darmith, I would get Uria, and then the new general, General Nishant, in that order. Lager Khan, like I said, I would get absolutely last, and before him, I would get the epics. Estero first, because he's a great attacker for epics, and he's used for breeding Arcanite. But yeah, that's the question to who I would get. Now, in terms of who you should get, I'm just gonna say this once. Although I really do believe you should get Thetis first, it's because of her low price. And the reason for me that General Nishant is like 6th or 5th, in terms of who I would get, it's because of his coins. He costs 2.2k coins, and I have a lot of dark monsters. There's like over 20 dark monsters in the game. I probably have like 15 or 16 of them, so that's why I personally don't think I need him, although he is really good. I want to stress that he's really good. But the number one monster you should get, and listen to this carefully, the number one monster you should get is the monster you need most. So for example, let's say you have, let's say we already know General Thetis is one of the best generals in the game, one of the best monsters in the game. But let's say you have 10 water monsters already and you have no thunder monsters. Then arguably for you, the best monster you should get is General Uria. No matter what people say, no matter if they say that he sucks or he's not great, even though Thetis is technically like better in terms of a team, for you specifically, General Uria is the best. And that's because, to be honest, player versus player doesn't matter too much. You basically pick your matches. You pick whatever battle you think you can win. You don't ever go into a match knowing you're gonna lose it. So you could realistically use any team besides like 3 attackers, and you're gonna win. Like, it doesn't matter if you don't have the best of the best. It doesn't matter if you don't have Timerion, Voltic, and Barb. You can use any team. And when you see my PvP request that people request, you basically see that you can win with any team. You don't need to have the best of the best. Now, in terms of team war, having any monster is better than having no monster if you want to help your team, or else it's going to be 2 against 3. So for that reason, you have to pick whoever you need the most. So if you have only one fire element monster and you have like a ton of monsters in the other elements, Dartmouth would be the best for you. If you have a lot of coins to spare, I would say get General Nisha. I actually bought him because I do want to do a level 1 to 100 video, and I am doing the analysis, and I'd love to put some of his attacks in there, and he is really, really good. But like I said, ultimately choose whoever works best for you. And with that, I'm going to conclude this video. I hope this team shop update was helpful. I know it's a little long, but I hope I was able to make up your guys' mind on who you should buy. Good luck everyone, I hope you get whoever you want, and have a great day.